Experience the AFA Cultural Institute.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump approved a new wave of attacks on Iran. This second wave comes as retaliation for a U.S. helicopter getting shot down over the Strait of Hormuz. Trey Yinkst from Tel Aviv, Israel, has the latest.
CENTCOM says that Iranian military surveillance systems, along with communication systems and air defense sites across Iran, were hit. Speaking from the Situation Room, President Trump told Fox News that 49 Tomahawk missiles hit locations as close to 40 miles from the capital of Tehran. Positions were also targeted along the southwestern part of Iran. The president described the strikes as violent and vicious. Also, President Trump says top Iranian officials called him directly, asking him to stop the bombing. Now, in response, the Iranians launched ballistic missiles and drones at Gulf countries, including Bahrain and Kuwait. The Jordanian army says they dealt with at least 20 Iranian ballistic missiles in the skies of their country.
President Trump claimed yesterday that the U.S. secretly moved over 100 million barrels of oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil, millions of barrels. Every night we took out oil. So now that they figured it out, I can tell you, it was very hard for me. I wanted to say it so badly, but I didn't want to ruin it, but it was very hard. But millions of barrels of oil has come out, and that's why it's at $85, $90 a barrel instead of $250.
Progressive school superintendents, including leaders from Loudoun County, Virginia public schools, facing some tough questions from the House Education and Workforce Committee over their district's stances on allowing biological males in female spaces.
Is it the policy of Chicago Public Schools to forbid biological men, boys, to go into locker rooms with biologic girls?
Any student, gender identity
I take that as a yes.
Transgender women should be allowed in women's spaces.
That's a yes.
San Francisco, we follow state and federal law.
I take that as a yes as well.
And the superintendent of Chicago Public Schools had this exchange with North Carolina Congresswoman Virginia Foxx.
Is it appropriate for biological boys to sleep in the same room as biological girls? Yes or no? You're adhering to the policies. Do you decide that?
If a student is transitioning and that if they have gone through the eligibility process and it has been approved according to Illinois policy, that would be considered on a case-by-case basis.
The Maine-based Christian leader believes veteran U.S. Senator Susan Collins will turn back the challenge of her radical Democrat opponent. Chad Groening has more.
First elected in 1996, Republican Susan Collins points to her experience and key position as chair of the powerful Appropriations Committee as two reasons to send her back to the Senate. She'll face radical Graham Plattner, who won the Democrat primary decisively on Tuesday. Nick Adolphson is executive director of the Christian Civic League of Maine. He feels Collins will prevail in the end.
Susan Collins, while I disagree with her on significant issues around life and some of the family values issues, she has been a consistent voice for the state of Maine. And ultimately, I think they will reelect her, but it still presents this question of if almost half of our voting population chooses to vote for somebody who seems like he has yet to get his own life figured out, where does that leave us as a state?
Adolphson says Maine is kind of like a microcosm of the country.
Right now, we're very divided. We say there's two Maines. There's the southern coastal Maine that tends to vote very progressive. And then there's inland Maine with our blue-collar folks. And they vote much more along the lines of conservative values, family values. They value still work. They still kind of value the Maine that made Susan Collins. And I think we'll see that side of Maine stay true, and the fight will be in some of the coastal regions where it is much more progressive.
I'm Chad Groening.
And a New Mexico judge is scheduled today to consider arguments in a challenge to the state's fledgling universal child care program. More news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The mission of AFA is to inform, equip, and activate individuals and families to strengthen the moral foundations of American culture and give aid to the church here and abroad in its task of fulfilling the Great Commission. AFA upholds the truth that all human beings, including the unborn, are created in the image of God and are worthy of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. It's Thursday, June the 11th, 2026. All right, in studio, we have a surprise guest. Brother Ray Pritchard's in town.
I know.
In town, in studio, in the house.
Usually I'm here for the Christmas.
Yeah.
The Christmas party. And showed up 6 months early.
Christmas in June.
That's right.
As you're on your way to your very difficult assignment down in Florida.
You know, somebody's got to do it.
Somebody does.
I'm going to take one for the team. And Marlene and I are on our way to Florida. We're moving down there, and God willing, about the first week of July, we'll be settled in our park model at the Word of Life Palm Grove in Hudson, Florida.
There you go.
That other voice is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning. I forgot. I had not been formally introduced.
Right. Fred Jackson. Good morning, Fred.
Yeah, good morning. But everybody knows Ed's voice.
Yeah, Ed's voice.
Little Ed goes a long way, man.
All right, so Fred's here, Ray's in studio with us instead of being in Kansas City and or Florida, and Ed's here well, you're not here on Thursdays usually.
Yeah, usually Wesley is on, but we swapped out. I was off Monday. You know, one hand washes the other. That's in the Bible, isn't it?
It's in there somewhere. That's right.
So I swap with Wesley.
Second Hezekiah, maybe.
That's right.
I think that's right, about iron sharpens graphite.
Yeah, or,
Isn't that right? Or something like that.
Bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. Could be.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
That's right. It's in there somewhere.
Right. Sylvester Stallone or
what
Clint
Bible
Eastwood?
are you guys reading?
All right.
The Message Bible.
All right. Well, Ray, good to have you with us. Now, you are celebrating the Keep Believing Ministries,
right,
which is your ministry. You guys are celebrating 20 years?
20 years. We got started right here in Tupelo, Mississippi 20 years ago, and we've been doing a couple of banquets around the country, and we wanted to come back to Tupelo to say thanks to our friends and supporters, because basically this was ground zero for Keep Believing Ministries, which now stretches through the internet all over the world.
Yeah.
But it got started right here. And
now, did you started that? Was that after you left the pastorate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and because while you were serving as you served as a pastor of a local church in several different cities across the U.S. You know, you'd get run out of one, you'd move on to another one.
Right. And always move at least 500 miles away.
Right.
It's harder to find
so
you
the
that
real
way.
people didn't know you. No, I'm just teasing. But anyway, so you, but your last church you served was in Chicago.
Was in the Chicago area for about 17 years.
So when you decided to leave the pulpit and branch out to an independent ministry like you were forming, Keep Believing, what was the thought process there?
Well, number one, I wrote a little gospel book for Moody Publishers called An Anchor for the Soul. There's now 1.3 million copies of that little paper. It's a gospel book.
Yeah.
It's how to go to heaven in Walmart English for the Walmart shoppers of the world. Those are my people.
Right.
And we started the ministry. If Marlene were here, she would say it this way. She would say, when we started Keep Believing, we wanted a vehicle to enable us to raise money to get the anchor books out to prison ministries and so on. And she would say, the one thing that we knew was that we were never going to go full-time with this ministry. But as the wise man said, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans, right? So we told God our plans, and God just chuckled and said, well, we'll see about that. And we started the ministry thinking I thought I was going to go back into the pastorate somewhere, but the ministry grew and grew and grew, and God sent us supporters, and the funds came in, and so Marlene and I have been serving full-time with the ministry now for, really, we started it 20 years ago, and I became full-time with the ministry 19 years ago, and every step along the way, we will say this tonight at our get-together, we never had a master plan. I always felt bad about saying that. We never had a master plan until I heard Franklin Graham, who's done pretty well done pretty well with Samaritan's Purse. He said, we never had a master plan. We just went through whatever door God opened. And you know what? That's not a bad plan for life. If you don't know what else to do, just go through whatever door God opens and see what happens. And so here we are.
That's not really the American way.
No, it's not.
That's why it's odd when you say that. That's why you say, I'm guessing, why you say I feel bad saying that.
Right.
Because all the experts, including church experts, will tell you, no, man, you got to have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, all that kind of thing.
That. Yeah.
But biblically speaking, what you said is far closer to the truth. You go through the door that God opens, and you bloom where you plant it, however you want to put it, because you're not ultimately in charge.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Lean not unto your own understanding.
In all your ways acknowledge him, and what?
He shall direct your path.
He will direct your paths. We've been working on that for 20 years, and here we are.
All right, I got one other question for you, then Fred's going to bring up the news here. What do you miss most about the pastorate? And I'll give you two choices. Okay, would it be A, potluck suppers? Now, I don't know if they call them that around the country.
Right, but I know what you're talking. Wednesday night dinner.
Yeah,
right.
We in the South, they call them potluck suppers. Or deacons meetings.
Let me say it to you this way. I enjoy being a pastor, but in the last 20 years, there has never been one day where I awakened and said, man, I wish I had a budget planning meeting tonight.
That just never crosses your mind.
Never crossed my mind.
Oh, man, that's funny. Oh, man, you're served in Southern Baptist churches, and I know they're known for the deacons meetings and the finance committee.
Well, can I just tell one Baptist story?
Please go.
Because I've been in the ministry and pastoring in several different types of churches, but I was an interim pastor for my wife's home church, Southern Baptist Church down in Scott County. And my first experience with a Wednesday night business meeting was, now I'm not exaggerating this. I can sometimes exaggerate for the point of humor. But the church needed a new vacuum cleaner. And the members of the church said, well, we need to get a committee together.
No, they did.
Yes, they did.
No.
To get the vacuum cleaner. And his good friend of mine, my wife's cousin, said, why don't we just send someone down to a couple of stores and find the best deal? And his mother, I was sitting right behind when he said that. His mother said, oh, son, we can't do that. And I said, wow, all the things I heard about Baptist business meetings are true. And they got a committee together.
No,
yeah, they got a committee.
A vacuum cleaner committee?
A vacuum cleaner committee. Now, listen, those were dear people. I love them and friends with many of them still.
Now, if you have a vacuum cleaner committee, is that under the umbrella of the deacons, or did you have to elect a president and a treasurer and a secretary for the vacuum cleaner meeting?
They had to come back with the choices.
Oh, no.
And then they had to vote on it.
They had to vote on.
Are you?
I'm not making that up. And I'm
tell
not mentioning the name of the church.
Tell one other story, because I love this story. And I know if longtime listeners have probably heard this before, but Ed served in, and Ray's got 1,000 stories too. Ed served as a pastor or assistant pastor, associate, whatever you want to call him, a youth pastor for many years, right?
Yeah.
Even when you were bivocational working here, doing that.
Right.
So tell the story about the guy coming over to the parsonage. All right, listen to this, people.
Okay,
now, for those who don't know, if you're new to Christianity, or maybe you don't even know about anything about church life, the history is for a lot of churches have had, this is not so common anymore, I don't think, but parsonages, which are houses that the church owns and the pastor and his family live in the church.
Right.
Okay, so we wanted to set the backdrop maybe for those who don't know what that is. Go ahead.
Okay, and this was the same church.
Oh, man, this would make a great sitcom.
Oh, man.
So I came out on a Saturday morning. I was going to mow the grass, and there was a brother from the church unhooking the hose from the pastorium, parsonage. And I said, "Hey, I'm not going to say his name. What are you doing?" He said, "I something to do with his garden. I need more hose, and so I'm coming to get this one." And I said, "Why?" He said, "I pay tithes. The church owns the hose." And so he took the hose with him. He returned it. But that was how he felt. And my wife, after we left there, she said, again, did I mention I love those people?
I know you did, yeah.
My wife said, this is the last parsonage we're ever living in.
Yes.
Because they church people, they kind of believe she had to get approval to change the color of the paint or the
'cause you don't own the house.
You don't own the house. So she said, this is the last one. I said, yes, ma'am.
Let me tell you this story. My dad was a Methodist preacher, and the first 8 years of him serving, this would have been in the mid '60s, early '70s. We lived in a parsonage, and I just remember we didn't even own the furniture.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
It was so my dad decided when we moved to South Haven, which would be about in '76, he decided, you know what, like your wife, he said, we're buying our own house.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was highly unusual at the time.
Yes.
Okay. And some churches considered that offensive. Oh, our parsonage is not good enough for you? Right. I mean, some people took that attitude, but his idea was
you won't ever own anything.
Right. You'll be 70 years old living in a tent.
Right.
Because you never would have owned your own.
And in
place.
the way of explanation, churches did that because it helped them, if they were smaller, it helped them to pay a pastor and not have to pay them enough for them to make a house payment. Okay, because they would own the house, the parsonage, and so they provided housing but didn't have to pay more salary.
Right. When did you switch over to your own home?
Our first church was a parsonage in California, an evangelical covenant church out there. We were there for about 5 years, and it worked out okay because the people had a good they had a good spirit about things, and if we needed work done, we didn't have to appoint a vacuum cleaner committee, right? We could keep the hoses, right?
Yeah.
But the deal is, you're not building up any equity that way.
Right.
And so once we left the church in Los Angeles, moved to a church in Dallas, we scraped the money together and bought a house.
Yep.
And so we've lived in our own homes ever since. Yeah.
And by the way, I there's several of those people I'm still friends with that listen to AFR and listen to this show because they communicate.
Well, who's one of them?
I'm not, no. I just want to let you know I love y'all. Nothing.
And names were not mentioned.
Names were not mentioned
to protect the innocent
and
the guilty.
And the guilty.
And it's just some of the funny stuff that happens in church. I'm sure that police officers and nurses, they all have stories like this.
Oh yeah.
And
well, let me ask you this: is that in Southern Baptist circles? Is it it's common today? Pastors own their own homes. Is that pretty standard?
Much more.
Yeah.
Don't you think? Much more.
I think so.
So it was early. It was cross denominational.
Yes.
In terms of that move to have own your own home, get away from the parsonages, right?
Right. For the very reasons you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Is that you wind up being at retirement age with nothing.
Right.
And everyone says, well, God will provide. Well, you know what? God does provide, but you will be living in a tent.
Right.
Okay? Right. You'll have shelter.
He generally provides better if you own your own home.
Yeah. Right. All right. You're listening to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. You know what? would be a hit if we had a book on church stories. Maybe that's probably already been done. But Dennis Swanberg used to tell some hilarious church because I think he was a pastor. I mean, remember, you know, the comedian from Louisiana. All right, and Jerry Clower had some.
Mm-hmm. He was a master storyteller.
Yes, Jerry Clower.
Oh,
it's pretty good from a guy from Boston, right there. Yeah,
I've lived in Mississippi since 85.
All right, go, Fred.
all right. Well, we need to be praying for our friends in the Midwest, Chicago area. Damaging storms in the last 24 hours, knocking out power to hundreds of thousands of people. Causing delays in Ray's old area there in Chicago. O'Hare was shut down. Midway was shut down for a while.
Bad? Wow.
It was that bad. We're talking buildings knocked down, the whole shebang, as they say. So be praying for those folks. As of early this morning, according to the story we posted on our website, afn.net, around 390,000 customers still had no electricity early this morning in the Midwest. So pretty serious storms. We're kind of used to those storms to a certain extent earlier on in the spring, but as the spring moves along and that hot weather, cold weather collision occurs,
looks like
you get those storms.
Just looking at the radar, it looks like another wave of red weather coming into Iowa, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois.
Yeah, all those folks. And as we reported yesterday, western Montana had snow just a few days ago.
Yeah, that's not right.
You don't accept
Something's gone
that?
wrong with global warming.
No, I'm gonna have to move if it's snowing in June.
It's just wrong.
Right. Yes, it's not supposed to be that way. All right, what's your next story?
Next story. Tim, I know you want an update from President Trump on what's going on in Iran.
Yeah, I do, Fred. Tell me today.
He said enthusiastically.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, he, as he usually does, he was at a signing ceremony for something else yesterday. And, of course, he opens it up to reporters. To his credit, he's not afraid to take reporter questions. But he talked about what's been going on, back and forth, including last night. There were some missile exchanges between Iran and the United States. But President Trump yesterday did have a bit of news at his news conference. He talked about, and he said he was breaking news, that over the last number of weeks, they have been sneaking out through the Strait of Hormuz tankers full of oil. And he said that's why kind of gas prices have been going down. Here's a little bit of what he had to say, cut number 18.
Concern, Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning. Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. We've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. We took out the other night 22 ships, late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar. We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. Oh, when the war is over? Yes. It's coming down.
All right, and then President Trump, he was on Fox and Friends this morning, called in and did most of the talking. He said they're planning to hit again very hard tonight, is the quotation, threatening in a social media post also to assume total control of Iran's oil and gas industries, including the key Kark Island in the not-too-distant future, end quote. So there is some aggressiveness going on. The ceasefire officially is still on.
Why do you tell the enemy what you're doing?
Well, he said the Iranians didn't find out about the sneaking the oil tankers out until yesterday afternoon.
Who told them?
He did.
Well, and Karg Island is they process those facilities process 90% of Iranian oil crude exports. So that would be huge if we take it.
How do you know we're going to take it?
Because that's what he said. He said we're going to take it. Although he did say he's keeping his options open. I agree. I hate to say this because I don't want our folks thinking that all we're going to do is criticize President Trump. Probably sounds like it. To your point, Tim, I don't think it's wise to tell your enemy what you're doing.
If a Democrat did this, we'd be all over it.
Yeah, I mean, if we're sneaking oil tankers out, you don't tell them. When I get up at night and sneak cookies, I don't tell my wife the next day that's what I did, because she'll move the cookie jar, and I don't want oil tankers being anyway. And the first thing I'm saying, Ray, I'm going to let you talk.
Oh, this is good.
The
tips on how to get cookies late at night. That's what I need some ideas here. So.
Actually, you don't even have cookie jar. But the comment about inflation, that clip, I understand what President Trump was saying. He doesn't technically love inflation. He was talking about the inflation's going in the right direction. It's going to come down further when we win and oil prices sink. Like he said, it'll sink like a rock. But that clip is going to come back to hurt him, because Democrats and the media will clip that out. I love inflation.
Clip?
I love inflation.
Yeah, he said that. He said
I love inflation.
So what do you mean by that? I love inflation.
I think he meant I love the news about inflation. It's going to come down, but he was speaking quickly, and that little is going to get clipped out. I think.
My question is the war back on or not? What are we doing now?
Fred knows.
Well,
Fred, tell us.
Somebody said this
all-knowing Fred.
Ceasefire is the Middle East version of what a ceasefire is.
Okay.
So you have
Fair enough.
little bits of fire, but apparently the ceasefire is still in place.
I did see an interview, I forget who, or a podcast or whatever, here recently. No, I know it was Marco Rubio was being interviewed. He was testifying before Congress, and he was talking about. Now this was helpful. That's why I really like Marco Rubio. He said part of the problem, because he was asked why all these statements about, well, this is happening, we're going big news coming. He says it takes 3 to 5 days for the leadership within Iran, and he talked about the different factions, okay? He said it takes 3 to 5 days for them to pass messages on to each other, because they're using courier. Because every time someone pops their head up, they get a missile, okay? And this was Secretary of State Rubio's explanation of why sometimes it takes a long time. So, this group, the IRGC, or, the other parts of the military, or the mullahs, they all have to communicate with one another, but it sometimes takes 3 to 5 days because it's so slow communicating. And so that was helpful to understand that that's what's going on in Iran, because so much of their technology has been destroyed, and leadership.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our break right here, and we'll be back with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. A lot of more stories.
A lot of more?
A lot of more. A lot of more stories. Was that correct or incorrect English? A lot more. Well, I did blur them. I did blend them. A lot of more stories.
A lot of mo. Because that's what Clubber Lang said to Rocky in Rocky 3.
Oh, is that right?
You can get a lot of mo pain.
A lot of mo.
We'll be back in a few minutes with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
In the book of Psalms, we read these words: If I forget you, O Jerusalem, let my right hand wither. Let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, if I do not remember you if I do not set Jerusalem above my highest joy. Jerusalem is located some 33 miles east of the Mediterranean Sea and some 14 miles west of the Dead Sea. For some 25 to 30 centuries, it has been a holy city. Today, it is the center of three major religions: Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. It is a city well known to millions of Bible readers. David and Solomon lived in this city. So did Isaiah and Jeremiah, and a host of other Old Testament figures. It was in this city that Stephen became the first Christian martyr. In this city also James, the brother of John, died at the hands of Herod Agrippa I about A.D. 44. Agrippa was the grandson of Herod the Great. The city is literally covered with biblical landmarks. Some are authentic. Some are marked only by legend and tradition. The Dome of the Rock, a Muslim mosque, is a distinguishing mark in the city. It is constructed on the site of Solomon's temple and over the rock where Abraham is supposed to have offered Isaac as a sacrifice. Always in Scripture, those who went to the city were going up to Jerusalem. This is true for two reasons. The city is located on hills at a height of some 2,600 feet above sea level. So the journey was a physical trip up. But more than this, Jerusalem was considered the most holy city in the world. So then it was also a spiritual journey up to the city. The best view of the city is offered from the Mount of Olives. Standing atop this mountain and looking across the Kidron Valley to the city, one can see reminders of centuries of biblical history. In fact, every place associated with the last week in the life of Christ is visible from the Mount of Olives. Jesus came to this city often. His first visit was as a baby, perhaps slightly more than a month old. His last visit was probably just prior to his ascension. In the temple courtyard, located immediately east of the present Dome of the Rock, he taught the crowds. In Jerusalem, he ate the Last Supper with his disciples. It was here that he was arrested, tried, and crucified. And it was here that he arose from the dead. The name of the city means City of Peace. It is misleading, for throughout its history, the city has known very little peace. It has been destroyed and rebuilt many times. Perhaps the most famous destruction was that by Titus, the Roman general, in AD 70. That destruction was prophesied by Jesus some 40 years earlier. Pilgrims by the multitude still flock to this city. They come from every race and every nation. Many of them have one thing in common. They are followers of the Christ who visited here, and they have come to see places made universally famous by the one they follow.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Wildman, president of American Family Association and American Family Radio. Hey, we are announcing two tours coming up in 2027, March of 2027. We're going to Greece and we're going to Italy. The Greece tour we call the Footsteps of Paul, and you're going to follow the footsteps of St. Paul in the country of Greece. And then the Italian tour, the Tour of Italy, Venice, Florence, Pisa, Rome. We're calling the Make Lasagna Great Again tour. And these are coming up in March of 2027. And if you want to read all about them, the itinerary, the cost, everything you need to know about these tours coming up in March of Greece and Italy, go to tours.afa.net. That's tours.afa.net. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of good fellowship, and see some of the most historic and iconic sites in the world.
But you, Lord, are a compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger and abounding in love and faithfulness. Psalm 86:15.
This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thursday, June the 11th is today. By the way, we're having really good response to our tours that you just heard the spot for, coming up in March of 2027 to Greece and Italy. So if you want to read more about those, go to tours.afa.net. tours.afa.net, and read all about them. The itinerary, the everything, where we're going, what we're going to see, and also how much it costs, because it costs money. It costs money to go. So check it out, tours.afa.net.
By the way, I like the music bed underneath that ad. I want the soundtrack
Just
for
makes
that.
you want to get up and do an Italian dance or Greek.
That's what Ray was doing over here.
Yeah, he was.
Half Italian, half Greek.
It's happy music.
That's right. Makes you want to get up.
Get
your toes. You get up and dance.
Eat a Greek salad and some lasagna.
Staying alive, man.
I don't think that was quite Bee Gees, but anyway. But you know, the interesting thing is you're half Greek, half Italian, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe you can go. Well, maybe not this time, but next time. You're going to Boston.
I'm going to Boston.
Yeah.
And then, hey, next year, Italy and Greece.
Right. You want to do that?
Sure. Who's going to host the show? Well, that's just Wesley and Walker going.
Well, Allison and I are going to Italy.
Yeah.
We're doing the Italy part.
Let's just make sure Fred and we have enough people left to do the show.
Fred and I will do the dance.
Yeah.
We'll do the Greek-Italian dances. Wow.
It would be awesome. I'd love to go. I've never been to Greece or Italy.
Well, if you want more information on that, tours.afa.net. You been to either one of those, right?
Been to both. Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
First of all, fantastic for a vacation.
Yeah.
And to get back to the land of the Bible.
Yeah.
To get the streets where Paul walked and preached. And
that would
the
be
prison
incredible.
where he was held in Rome.
We're going to the catacombs.
Yeah.
Too, in
wow.
outside of Rome when we go. Yeah. So it's going to be looking for. I've been there twice. Been to Italy twice. Went in '83, I think it was, with my dad led a tour. It was a 16-day Western Europe swing.
Oh, that'd been amazing.
Yeah, we started in Belgium, went to Holland, went to Germany, saw the Passion Play, Oberammergau.
Right.
Then we went to
did the Reformation, Protestant Reformation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drove through Austria, Innsbruck, didn't stop there, went to Milan.
Okay.
Then to Venice.
Nice.
Florence, Pisa, Rome. Then back to went to Paris, all the way from Rome to Paris on a bus. So
I've been to Little Italy in New York and the north end of Boston.
It's pretty close.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a few cultural differences.
few differences.
Went to Paris.
What are you looking at?
Yeah. I couldn't understand that.
You looking at me?
That's a little bit different in Italian and French.
That's another tour. The different tour.
That's a whole nother thing.
Anyway. All right, Fred, what do you got, my friend? Bring your next story here.
All right. You know, there's so much going on in the world sometimes that important items do get missed. And there wasn't a lot of reporting yesterday, but there was a hearing, congressional hearing on parental rights. That's something we talk about a whole lot around here. And in particular, what a lot of parents are facing in various jurisdictions across the country, most of them Democrat-controlled, about their kids and what their kids are being exposed to in our schools, in particular the whole transsexual issues going on. And yesterday, the Republicans had called in representatives of school districts like Loudoun County in Virginia. And if you've listened to this program and in our news, you know what goes on in Loudoun County, Virginia. One of the worst as far as liberalism goes. They had representatives also from Chicago's school district, and I think it was Los Angeles. And they were challenged by one of the Republicans on the committee about this whole issue of bathroom policies in their schools. So I want you to have a little listen to how that went. Cut number 1.
Is it the policy of Chicago Public Schools to forbid biological men, boys, to go into locker rooms with biologic girls?
Any student, gender identity
I take that as a yes.
Transgender women should be allowed in women's spaces.
That's a yes.
San Francisco, we follow state and federal law.
I take that as a yes as well.
Yeah, so there you have it. That's how it went. The gentleman who was representing, I think, Loudoun County, said, well, it's federal law. We don't have a choice in this. Well, that's not true.
Right.
That's not true. The Supreme Court has ruled on these, and jurisdictions do have the right to these kinds of restrictions about biological boys going into girls' bathrooms, et cetera, et cetera. Abby Platt was interviewed this morning on Fox and Friends. She is a parent of a young boy in Loudoun County schools, and she gave testimony this morning about what her son has faced there, her young son at a school there in Loudoun County. Cut number 2.
When my little boy was in the 5th grade, he had 2 little girls in his class that, as he would describe, were pretending to be boys. He was standing at a urinal one day, and a little girl in his class walked right in and stared. My son came home devastated and in tears, distraught that a girl in his class would come and look at him while he was using the bathroom.
And if that's not bad enough, when students complain, and we've seen this before in Loudoun County about these policies, the student who complains about them, who complains about girls being allowed to go into boys' bathrooms, et cetera, and boys being allowed to go in, that sort of thing, it is the student who complains that is often punished. And Abby Platt talked about that this morning as well. Cut number 3.
When people do speak out, the superintendent, the district, they do retaliate. And you see that. We saw that a year ago with those Loudoun boys who were filmed in their own locker room. And then what happened? They were suspended. And the school came after them so viciously. We're seeing the exact same thing happen right now at Freedom High School. You've got one kid with a camera who for years has been taking pictures of other children's genitals when they use the bathroom. For years. One brave kid came forward, and what did they do to him? They suspended him, and they're not letting him walk with his graduating class.
So being punished for speaking out against allowing girls in boys' bathrooms and vice versa.
Well,
these are people who want to subvert normalcy. They hate God. I'm talking about those who are this pro-gender ideology. They hate God. They hate the world and the nature that God has created. So in rebellion to God, they rebel against that nature. And they are so full of anger and hatred, they will punish kids who act in a normal fashion in order to protect their revolutionaries. They're using kids to push their little revolution. Ray, do you think that's an over exaggeration?
If anything, it understates the evil that's being done.
I'll try to state it even more.
Please do. Until 5 minutes ago, Ed, everybody with a brain agreed. Boys go to the boys' bathrooms, girls go to the girls' bathroom. The situation that the mom described is completely intolerable. It's a girl coming into a boy's bathroom, and, well, we can't really even say on the air.
We had to edit.
We had to edit. But everybody understands watching and gawking while the little boy is trying to go to the bathroom, that's criminal.
Yes.
That's the people who not just who protect this, but defend it and promote it and consider it normal. Woe to them who call good evil and evil good. We have literally turned truth and error upside down in our society.
And in Romans 1, you go past the passage on homosexuality. At the end of the chapter, Paul says, not only do these people actually know that, and there's a long list of sins, not just homosexuality. He says, not only do people know that these are wrong, they encourage people to do it.
Right. And they cheer and rejoice over this kind of evil. So, Fred, this is an awful, an awful thing that is happening in our society. And you would think that there's good people in Loudoun County, has to be.
Yeah.
You'd think that good people would come together and throw these evildoers out.
But you know what's scary? There's apparently not enough of them.
Yeah.
Unless there's just apathy. I don't know how you'd be apathetic about these kind of things happening, but maybe there's just not enough of them to throw them out.
Or it is a liberal part of Virginia.
Right.
That northern part, the suburbs of Washington, D.C. But you know, I don't. These people can be very intimidating. The ones the pro-trans groups. I mean, they'll dox you and things of that nature.
And punish your kids. That's the testimony here.
Yeah. All right, next story.
Just one more thing with Abby Platt. She said one of the problems is now there are not enough private schools. Parents are trying to get their kids, rescue their kids from the public schools there, but they have nowhere to go. All these private schools are filling up.
Yeah. What was her name? Abby Platt?
Abby Platt.
Kudos to her.
Yeah.
Shame on the head of the Loudoun County Schools, Abby Normal.
Yeah.
So that's we had two Abbies at work here, and Abby Normal
had to resort to a young Frankenstein. You know, saying, didn't you, Ed?
Yeah.
All right. Go
All
ahead.
right. I think most people in the nation now are very familiar with Graham Plattner, the guy from Maine.
It's a good flavor. If you go to Baskin Robbins, you can just go for your strawberry, vanilla, or chocolate, or you can go over there and get you some Graham Plattner. Go ahead, Fred. I mean, Ray.
You may not like what's in it, right?
Right. Don't ask what's in it. Just taste it. That's what I'm saying.
All right, Fred. Go ahead. Go ahead and actually give the story.
Yes, Graham Plattner. Well, you know, some of the controversy leading up to the primary, which he won on Tuesday night this week.
For those who don't know who you're talking about, tell them.
Yeah, he is the Democrat that has been chosen in Maine to take on Republican Senator Susan Collins.
Right.
Lots of controversy around him. Even some Democrats are kind of embarrassed about this guy. He's got the Nazi tattoo. He's got women who he has in his background that say they were abused by him. So all of that has been out there. And he has said, you know, from time to time, well, that's part of my past, and I'm by all of that. But here's what's really interesting. Jodi Kantor, she is what's being described as the Me Too reporter for the New York Times. Now, the New York Times did carry a story earlier with testimony from some of the former girlfriends of Graham
Now,
Plattner.
just remind our listeners what Me Too means.
Me Too basically says we should listen to the accusations made by women against men.
Right.
It became fairly popular during when Kavanaugh was up for the Supreme Court.
Right.
And there were women who testified against him, and the Democrats said we have to believe these women.
Right.
All right? So Jodi Kantor, she was interviewed in the last couple of days about the accusations against Graham Plattner. I think it's going to shock you as to how she responded about those complaints. Cut number 14.
The accusations against Graham Plattner are not classic Me Too accusations. They're not about a boss and a young female employee being subjected to sexual advances. They were mostly made in the context of consensual relationships. There are these very sensational texts about sex. There are allegations from former girlfriends that are not, the way my colleagues reported them, were not like classic abuse allegations.
Classic. It didn't meet the standard.
Look, now I understand her point. It is a different context between a boss and an employee. That doesn't mean it's an excuse that it took place, that the abuse took place in the context of a relationship. She's making it sound as if this excuses Plattner, Graham, which I agree with Tim. would be great. You add Graham to any flavor, okay, but it does not excuse what he did, and that's the way she's playing it.
Yeah, this fella Graham Plattner is the Democrat nominee and it's a close race, from what I understand at this point. Is this for November?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we got a long way to go. I just it takes a lot to take a candidate out nowadays when it regarding their personal lives, because people, you pick a team nowadays, and whoever your team is, then you got to vote for them, because the character issue doesn't matter anymore much.
Right.
That's just the way it is. So I don't think this hurts. I don't think anything you could say about this fella. He was he's a veteran too, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he said he had suffered from PTSD and lost confidence in the reason he was there, serving, I guess, in Iraq or Afghanistan. Anyway, but it looks like it's a tight race right now in the state of Maine. It's unusual isn't it, to have a Republican win a statewide race now, as liberal as Maine has become? But Susan Collins has held on for a long time.
Yeah, she's been described as a rhino. She's voted against Trump initiatives.
That's how she's survived.
She's a Republican in a liberal state. So you can't beat Ted Cruz and win in Maine.
Right.
Okay, that's just the way it is. Next story.
All right. There is a court hearing today in New Mexico. I did not realize New Mexico now is the only state in the country that has universal taxpayer-funded childcare. All right? So, it's a large part of the socialist agenda. That's what Mamdani wants in New York, et cetera, et cetera. It's big government programs. Here's the issue in New Mexico that's kind of interesting, is that the issue is not about the particular bill that's been passed, but the Democrat governor out there, after the bill was passed, according to the stories, removed any wage cap. In other words, you can be a millionaire in New Mexico and you can get the government to pay fully for your child care. And that's the issue here, is that the governor did this beyond what the bill talked about. So, the governor thinks it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You should be entitled to free, government-funded, taxpayer-funded child care.
Well, let me ask you this. Should you discriminate against people being allowed to access government programs just because of their income or lack thereof?
I think so. Here's why. I do not believe in the government providing the necessities of life for all its citizens. First of all, I think it's impossible to do that. It's too expensive. It gives the government too much control over people's lives. If you feel like the government should be a conduit for providing a safety net for people, that should be for people based on their need for
I don't
it.
believe that.
You don't?
No.
You think
I believe it ought to be fair across the board. When you quote, and there's disagreement in here, this said maybe in the Bible, we as Christians should be charitable to everybody and help the needy and the orphans and the widows, all that.
Right.
The generosity of Christians should not be questioned in terms of helping the poor. But I'm talking about government programs.
Yeah.
I think it ought to be completely fair and neutral and shouldn't look at how much money somebody makes or not. Let me one other thing about that, and then you can jump in here, Ray. For example, I don't think we should have a progressive income tax scale.
I think flat tax.
10% for everybody. You make $1 million, you pay 10%. You make $100,000, you make 10%. You make $25,000, you pay 10%.
That's not a government handout program, though. You're talking about taxing everyone the same, which I happen to agree with.
Okay,
I think
you agree with that?
Yeah.
But here's what I'm saying is that okay, you're saying the safety net, but I'm saying that somebody who pays in taxes should they just because they make a certain amount of money shouldn't disqualify them from accessing the same public schools, for example, that everybody else does.
Well, they can.
Or if they want to go to the health department, they can go to the health department. I just don't believe in discriminating against people based on their income.
So you're in favor of socialized medicine? Like everybody could go everyone could have Medicaid?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. I just don't believe in. No, in other words, Social Security. Okay.
Yeah.
There's talk of we need to don't allow people who have a certain income to get Social Security.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And I say no. Wait a minute. I don't care how much they made.
Go get him, Ed.
Well, because
they paid into it their whole lives. Why are you going to just say they can't have it?
Right. No, I agree with that.
Because they make a certain amount of money.
I agree with that.
Maybe we're just ships in the night.
Well, we could be. We're
ships in the night passing through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. And we got oil.
Through.
And we were doing fine,
through.
but Trump told everybody what we were doing. Go ahead, Ray.
Ships in the night trying not to get blown out of the water.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry. Maybe
right.
Maybe that was a little confusing, and we can flesh this out later. But I think I see your point, and I think you see mine. Go ahead, Ray.
You're on the side of saying if Elon Musk has all these kids, he ought to be able to get the same child care
as everybody else.
As everybody, even though he's the richest man in the world.
Why punish him for that? I'm just saying he probably wouldn't take access to it. But once you start getting into that is a form of socialism. That's the government deciding what's fair and what isn't fair. And I just think that you ought to treat all people the same, no matter how much money they do or don't make.
So you believe in
putting words in my mouth.
Each to each according to his ability and each according to his need. That's what you believe.
Yeah. Well,
here we go.
Well, no. Wait a minute.
Here we go.
Okay. All right. I'll go to the Bible for an example.
Okay.
When the Bible says we're to tithe, what does that mean?
10%. You get 10%.
Does it say except for people, and then it gives you a progressive tithing scale?
No, you're right about that. So everybody should tithe.
The same amount.
And if it winds up being $20, that's just what you pay.
That's God's principle.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. All right, well, we can
still have fellowship after,
yeah,
possibly.
You owe me a lunch, by the way, for something you promised, and something happened, and you owe me.
Oh, and you
lunch.
remember it.
I just got an image in my mind: Elon Musk on food stamps for his 10,000 kids.
Hey, he may need it one day.
That's right.
Say Starlink goes down the tubes.
And all his other
Teslas don't.
Yeah,
they're not working anymore.
He can go live on his base on Mars.
All right. Anyway, listen, I haven't thought that through. What I just communicated the last 5 minutes or however long I went on about that.
Impulsive answer.
I haven't thought that completely.
It's not the stated position of AFR.
We're
giving some thought from the air.
It's Tim freewheeling. Okay, if you can freewheeling. And so, but I do believe
you raise good points.
Yeah. I just the class warfare thing just gets on my nerves, and when the Democrats start deciding who's eligible for what and who's not eligible for what, when it comes to government, I get a little suspicious of where they're going with that. All right, go ahead, Fred. Next story.
Well,
you got 15 seconds.
We don't have time.
We don't have time. Sorry.
I don't think.
There's the music
right there.
Oh, that's it. Oh, Fred, I'm sorry.
Listen, I think we need a 5-minute break for everybody.
Time out.
Okay. I don't care how much money you make or don't make. We're going to take a 5-minute break.
That's right. This applies to everyone equally.
That's right.
All right, we'll be back, and Steve Paisley Jordahl will be with us. Fred, we want to thank you for your contributions.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, everybody.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Not we have to be more careful, but I have to be more careful. It doesn't distribute the burden, it accepts it. I learned it as a caregiver. Caregiving has a way of stripping away the illusion, including the ones that I prefer to keep about myself.
Join Peter Rosenberger on Hope for the Caregiver, Saturdays at 7 a.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. Central on American Family Radio. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. President Trump is threatening to keep the attacks on Iran going. The president says strikes on Iran's bridges and power plants are still on the table.
But I'd rather not do it, because once you do that, the people suffer. Like I heard you mentioning water. Water is really a devastating loss for them. I don't want to have boots on the ground, but if I wanted to, we could put a small group of soldiers and take over the whole place. They're finished.
The House of Representatives preparing to hold a vote today on a short-term extension for Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, as the program is set to expire tomorrow. Republican Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan hopes the chamber votes in favor of the extension, adding it plays a vital role in national security.
This is the program where they gather information. I think over around 70% of the president's what's called his daily brief, when the intelligence community briefs the commander-in-chief. Most of the information they give him comes from gathering the information gathered through this program on foreign targets.
The Justice Department working alongside DHS to target illegal aliens accused of smuggling children into the United States. Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin accused officials in the Biden administration of failing to secure the southern border.
We're going to enforce our nation's laws, and we're going to right the wrongs that the Biden administration turned a blind eye to. It's because of President Trump's leadership. It's horrific to what's happening right in our own country. Those that preyed on these young kids, we're going to bring you to justice. We're going to charge you. And we're going to work side by side with Todd Blanche and DOJ to make sure you pay for your crimes.
Carmelo Anthony's legal team is appealing his conviction less than 24 hours after the 19-year-old was found guilty of the murder of Austin Metcalf at a Texas track meet in 2025. Steve Jordahl tells us Anthony's defense is claiming, among other things, racial bias.
A jury found then 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony guilty of stabbing Austin Metcalf in the heart, killing him. Anthony is black and Metcalf is white, but during the trial, both sides claimed the case was not about race. After the verdict, that's all it was about, at least outside the courthouse.
What this process did is shown that black lives do not matter in Collin County.
AFR Talk host Jenna Ellis told the Today's Issues crew there's no systemic racism in the U.S., despite what protesters claim. There is, however, systemic Marxism.
The left has politicized it and made it about race, which is just yet another example of the cultural Marxism that is implicit in our nation.
As applied to this case,
Carmelo Anthony, simply because of the color of his skin, is a victim regardless of his life choices to murder another young man. And Austin Metcalf, because of his skin color being white, he is an oppressor and therefore can't be a victim.
Ellis says the defense will argue on appeal that Anthony is a victim of racism, which they will claim is infused into the American system.
And if you are in the oppressed category, you are perpetually the victim, regardless of whether or not you are in fact an aggressor of harm.
I'm Steve Jordahl.
Wholesale prices jumped again in May. Jenny Casola reports.
The Producer Price Index for May rose more than expected, up 1.1%. The PPI measures prices at the wholesale level. The increase was more than estimated. High energy prices are impacting inflation. Excluding food and energy, the PPI was up just 0.4%. For the year ending in May, the PPI rose 6.5%, the steepest increase since November of 2022. But core PPI for the year came in at 4.9%. Jenny Coselda, Fox News.
U.S. stocks are recovering some of their losses for the week as the roller coaster for AI companies turns back upward. They also got help today from easing oil prices and Treasury yields, which relaxed the pressure, even though worries are rising about the war with Iran and inflation. The S&P 500 added 0.6%, the Dow up 373 points, and the Nasdaq Composite climbed 0.8%. More news online at afn.net and on the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
If we lose this cultural war, we're going to have a hedonistic, humanistic society.
Discover the story of the culture warrior Don Wildmon and how he went head-to-head with Hollywood, Playboy, the homosexual agenda, and the Disney empire. The movement Don started paved the way for Christians to boldly stand for truth and righteousness in a hostile culture. Watch Culture Warrior today for free. Visit culturewarrior.movie.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, Ray. Ray's in studio with us today. He's, are you halfway between Kansas City and Tampa?
It's pretty close. Pretty close, yeah.
Pretty close. But Ray Pritchard, who's on with us Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually from a remote. he's in town
from the command bunker.
Yeah, he's on with us unless he's doing his little Bible teaching
Bible thingy.
Yeah.
Oh, now I recognize him.
Right. You see it.
Steve Paisley Jordan.
Hey, everybody.
Good morning, Steve.
Genuine Paisley today.
Yeah.
This is the real deal.
Yep. I haven't worn Paisley in forever. I'm glad you're keeping it alive.
I am doing my best.
He is personally keeping it alive.
That's right.
I wore Paisley as a child, I think, a few times.
You might have had
what
a
are you
Paisley
saying?
time. Just
My mom made me.
But
I do remember back in the 70s when that was the big thing, Paisley.
Steve is rocking
Paisley
it.
ties. Yeah, he does rock it.
Steve's keeping it alive.
I am.
Keeping it alive.
Staying alive. Staying alive.
Boy, we're old.
We just lost half our listeners.
That's right. They're going, what?
Bee Gees were not.
That's right. Not even close.
We're the anti-BG.
Go, Steve.
All right. Hey, any of you guys interested in basketball, watching the NBA Finals last night?
Okay, let me set this up real quickly. I do not watch the NBA during the regular season. Okay? I don't. But I do. I love basketball. I love watching basketball. Always have. And I do tune in for the finals of the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Even though it's not Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson, which was
that was peak.
That'll never be another day like that again.
That was
okay.
Peak.
Showtime versus the Celtics.
Yeah.
But I'm watching the Knicks and the Spurs.
Right.
Okay. Knicks won the best out of 7. Knicks won the first 2 games. They go back to New York. The Spurs win game 3. Last night, I tune in over there, and I tune in about halfway through the second quarter, and the Spurs are just beating
It's over.
It's over. Everybody, even the announcers are going, it's over.
Right.
And they're like up 29 or 31 at half. It's like, how is this even happening? Well, I clicked off. Now, I know better than to do that. I turned to another TV show that Alice and I wanted to watch.
Yeah.
And forgot about the ball game. And then I come to work this morning, and Steve, what happened?
Well, cut 19 happened.
Him to operate at the top, 101. Brunson gets it, fires up a 3. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. With 1.2 remaining. Knicks take the lead. No timeouts left. They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Castle hasn't lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history. The Knicks pull off the miracle comeback.
Yeah, so down 29 points, and that when you heard him say the Knicks take the lead, it was the first lead that they'd had. I don't know if they had 1 or 2 points at the very, very beginning.
Right.
They didn't come back until the very, very end.
How do you listen? If you're a San Antonio fan,
oh man,
this is going to be a collapse you'll never forget. if they wind up losing the series, which now they're down to the Knicks 3-1.
It's going to be hard tonight. Whenever the next game is, I think it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
If this will haunt San Antonio fans for the rest of their lives. Let me just. I don't watch the NBA ever.
You've been there, hadn't you, as a Red Sox fan?
So let me switch to hockey.
Please do.
Saturday is the next game.
2013, Game 7 between the Bruins and their arch enemies, the Toronto Maple Leafs, in Boston, with 10 minutes left in the game. The Maple Leafs go up 4-1.
And in hockey, that's a 30-point basketball.
Yes.
Right.
And the Bruins came back and beat them in overtime. And if I am having a down day and I go, like, after the show, we're talking about bad news.
You go YouTube that, huh?
I'll go to eat lunch and put on YouTube. Not only will I watch the gameplay of that, but there is a video of these fans in an apartment, Toronto fans, and they have a camera watching them from their TV, and they're going ballistic when they're up on the Bruins in Boston, 4-1, and then it shows them as the Bruins get closer and closer and closer. I'm just telling you that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Other people suffering.
Yeah.
Dad's happiness.
So how did they blow? What happened? Did they blow it or the?
No, they blew it. The Knicks did come back, but Steve's told me the box score, and the Knicks only scored for an NBA team. Listen to this: like 14 points in both of those quarters, the third and the fourth quarter.
That's inexcusable.
And they got a 7-4 Gazelle that is going to be the next greatest thing. And I forget Wemby.
Wemby, I think it's Wemby.
Victor, and they call him Wemby, but he's a phenomenal athlete.
They scored 14 points in the third quarter and 16 points. Yeah. That's like a WNBA game. Of course, that's probably a lot of points for the WNBA.
Or they threw the game. I'm not saying they did. I'm saying or.
Some people
throwing
say.
it out there.
Some people say.
Yeah.
Wembanyama.
So, no, I don't believe they threw the game. I'm just kidding. Go, next story.
All right. The UK has a podcaster. His name is Stephen Bartlett. He's the biggest podcaster in the UK. He's kind of the UK's...
How much does he weigh?
Not that kind of
2
big.
stones.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know how much a stone is.
This Diary of a CEO?
Very English. 2 stones.
This Diary of a CEO?
I don't know.
I completely misunderstood. You meant big as in popularity.
Popular, very popular. His name is Stephen Bartlett.
Okay.
And he is kind of the UK's Joe Rogan, right?
Okay.
So, and he's an avowed agnostic.
Okay.
He's very open about his lack of faith.
You need to be an avowed if you're an agnostic.
You do.
Yeah.
It is Diary of a CEO. It's a very good podcast.
Anyway, he was talking. He was talking with a guy named John Lennox, who's a mathematician from Oxford and a Christian.
He's outstanding.
And I want you to listen to an observation that this podcaster makes. That he makes because I think it's Stephen Bartlett has talked to Christians and he's talked to non-Christians, but this is very, very interesting, and I love this. Ray, I'd love to get your thoughts about this. Cut 20.
In a world with so many challenges, what can we do to restore hope and trigger engagement?
Give people a real basis for hope that transcends this world. And the only place I know where to find that is in Christ and in Christianity.
John, thank you. One of the most compelling arguments for God that you've presented and your way of seeing the world and being is not actually necessarily anything you've written in your books or not necessarily anything you've said. It is actually you. And you have a certain peace and contentment that I rarely see in people that I interview, but I often see, and I've almost always seen in the Christians that I've interviewed. And this is a interesting phenomenon for me. I interviewed Wesley Huff recently. Do you know Wesley Huff?
Yes. Yes.
He was the same
Canadian.
as you. Yeah.
Wesley's a bright cookie.
Yeah, he was very much, he gave me the same feeling as you, just like feels like a really happy person, very sort of content, rounded,
There are many
anchored.
of us.
Yeah, but it seems to be a trend that, a lot of the Christian apologists that I've interviewed have that anchoring that so many of us are looking for.
Yeah.
I watched some of that at lunch this week. I don't know when this podcast occurred, but it's making its way around social media. So I watched part of this interview between John Lennox is a treasure. Now he's in his 80s. I hope God gives him another 10 years at least. He is a profound thinker for the Christian faith, an apologist. And this young man, Stephen Bartlett, he's an honest searcher, Ray. And those are the ones who, Jesus says in, I think it's Matthew 11, that God hides the truth from the wise and intelligent, the proud, I think, but he reveals it to those who are humble.
There's the story in the Gospels where I think it's one of the Pharisees who comes to Jesus, and they're having a talk, and Jesus asks him a question, and the man gives an answer, and Jesus says, "You're not far from the kingdom."
Yeah,
right?
Amen.
You listen to him, Mr. Bartlett. He's not far from the kingdom. And what has brought him near is not so much what we would call an apologetic argument. It's the ultimate apologetic of a life changed by the power of Jesus Christ. Because we can make our arguments, people can answer our arguments. They have no answer for a life of joy and hope and peace that's been transformed by Jesus Christ. I think if more Christians lived out their faith that way, showed their joy, there'd be more people coming closer to the kingdom that way.
Do you think something's happening in our country? I've been kind of astonished that Wesley Huff, have you heard of him?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like
he
John
is a
Lennox.
smart cookie.
He is a smart cookie. There are people that God seems to be raising up, and I see them on podcasts. It's just an interesting phenomenon. This podcast phenomenon that has really taken root in modern society. Because you can share these things. You can share links to this. It pops up on X and YouTube and Instagram, these short clips, and then it draws people in. But I see people who are like Stephen Bartlett who have not probably darkened the door of a church,
right.
but they are connecting with and intersecting with Christians. And it's like Athens. It's like the... What was it? The Areopagus,
right.
There where people met to discuss,
right? Where it was anybody from anywhere could come, and you could bring your ideas.
Yeah.
It was like an internet discussion board for the ancient world.
Yeah.
Okay. Wesley Huff has been on with Joe Rogan, and has shared the gospel there. And Joe Rogan Joe Rogan's podcast, I guess, is the number one, or what's one of them?
At least in the United States, it's huge.
It's huge.
And I listen to him regularly.
Millions of people listen to him. And he is clearly, number one, he likes Wesley Huff. They have a great time talking. But Wesley Huff doesn't back off from the gospel a bit. But he does it in a winsome, cheerful way.
Yeah, respectful.
Kind of reminds me of... what Mike Huckabee used to say, "I'm a conservative, but I'm not mad about it." Okay,
yeah,
that's a great line. You see, it's a good thing to be a Christian and not be angry about it.
Yeah,
just to be happy in the Lord. And I think a guy like Joe Rogan is clearly at least considering the claims of Christ. There's more people like that out there than we suspect.
That's right.
I need to put this out for anybody who wants to check out Joe Rogan. It can be incredibly foul and crass.
We're not recommending that people go
recommend the Joe Rogan podcast. I gotta say, a lot of it depends on who he's interviewing. He'll interview like physicists and everything, and that can get very interesting. And usually it's pretty clean. But often he has his comedian friends on, and you never know where that's going to go. It's
okay, just say
vulgar.
it this way: if his podcasts are there, look up the ones where Wesley Huff has been on with Joe Rogan. You'll see a guy skilled in the Bible with the winsome personality interacting with a man who's actually interested in what
he's saying. Good at apologetics.
Yes,
he knows his stuff.
Right.
He's heard probably all the questions and the challenging ones, and has good answers for that. It's very, very informative. But it's not for kids. The Joe Rogan's not.
You're listening to Today's Issues. That's the name of this show on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, Ray, and Steve, and we appreciate you listening. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. So in Cleveland, Ohio, there is a medical unit called the Cleveland Clinic, and it was doing gender reassignment surgeries. It was playing with kids. It was cutting healthy body parts off kids. It was putting kids, young people, on gender, different pediatric medicines and everything to try to change, if you could, change your gender. Well, it was already illegal in Ohio, so the Justice Department brought a suit against them, and they won. And I want you to hear this, because the Cleveland Clinic has agreed to stop doing any gender medicine on young kids, and it has also pledged $2 million as part of this agreement. This isn't, I'm sure, their idea. $2 million towards helping people who want to detransition. That's someone like Chloe Cole, or that went down this misguided path to think they could become the next a different gender, and they regret it and they want to come back. So the surgery is irreversible. Some of the drugs that they put you on make irreversible changes. And so they need help, and the Cleveland Clinic is being required to pledge $2 million towards detransitioning, as well as having to stop all of its gender reassignment.
Well, it's going to
stuff.
stop because of what you predicted a couple of years ago, Steve, and that is some kid is going to become an adult who had a sex change or had their body mutilated or taken hormone therapy or whatever when they were 14, because you're supposed to affirm, if a boy thinks he's a girl, you're supposed to affirm him, or either you're a bigot or an irresponsible parent. So, and you said that what's going to happen is that 14-year-old is going to become 21, 22 and go, oh my goodness, what in the world did I do to myself? Who allowed me to do this when I was a minor? Oh, it was this hospital and this doctor. Well, you know what? I'm going to get a lawyer and sue them.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
That's
and
what's happening.
You have that happen, then you're going to have lawyers for the hospital and the doctors say, you know what? You need to get out of this business because this is going to happen again. And that kind of, not that they're ideological in one way or another, it's just a practical answer is you can't be doing these kinds of surgeries and operations on minors because it can come back to bite you financially in a big way. And the liability, what if something goes wrong? They could get, so anyway, and I'm glad to see this because this should be, these hospitals and doctors should be liable for what they do
Absolutely.
to minors.
And they're going to see Cleveland Clinic,
that's
$2 million. We don't want to get forced to pay anything.
Right.
We're stopping now.
That's right.
And they may still get sued in the future and may not be able to avoid it.
Next story, Steve.
All right. President Trump has decided he wants to put up a big, huge monument to the 250th anniversary of this country, and it's called the Triumphal Arch. It is going to be in Washington, D.C. The National Park Service is putting it up, and they are going to have to do construction 20 hours a day for the next 2 to 3 years in order for it to be finished during President Trump's administration. Because if it's halfway done when President Trump leaves office and it happens to be a Democrat that comes in, I can guarantee you they'll stop that thing and tear it down.
You think they would? They'd tear it down?
I can't imagine them at least...
Where is it going to be placed? In front of the Lincoln Memorial? On the Memorial Bridge crossing over into D.C. from Virginia? That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it's ours to be constructed out of concrete, clad with U.S. sourced granite. I'm trying to find the address. It's going to be, according to the documents, workers will require multiple cranes up to 320 feet tall, taller than the U.S. Capitol building. At least the construction equipment will be.
You're not supposed to have anything in D.C. that is taller than the U.S. Capitol. That's why they don't have skyscrapers in D.C. But you're saying this arch will be the equipment, like the cranes, will be taller than the Capitol when they're constructing it. Is that what you're saying?
Right. While during the construction, I think it's 250 feet tall.
Oh, I was just going to say it's 250 feet, so it's a massive.
Yeah. This artist rendering of it looks beautiful. It's going to say "One Nation under God," and the arch is also going to have a matching emblem that says "Liberty and Justice for All." It's
beautiful.
It is beautiful looking.
The rendering. I will say this: I don't know. I don't know what the process is for approving these kinds of projects. Is it just depending on who the president is at the time, or is this something that requires congressional approval?
It's got to come out of somebody's budget.
Well, the parks.
Well, it starts with a Truth Social post. That's always right. That's always step one, right?
The National Park Service is in charge of it, so that's the budget it'll come out of.
Well, how much is it going to cost? What's the estimate?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me look that up for you, Ray.
Let me just say this too, though. Having been to Washington D.C. many times, they're running out of room for monuments inside the District of Columbia, in the Washington D.C. And I'm not talking about way out. I'm talking about on the mall area, and they're running out of places for monuments, and so I don't know what they're going to do about that. Maybe find another place.
$100 million is the estimated
$100 million.
cost.
What? How much?
$100 million.
Oh, $100 million.
It's actually pretty cheap.
Yeah,
comparative cost. The nearby Dwight D. Eisenhower Memorial costs approximately $145 million.
Huh.
Yeah,
I would have guessed a lot more than that.
Me too.
And it is going to be a mix of public and taxpayer money and private donations.
Yeah, next story, Steve.
All right, next time you are on an Air Canada plane, you might want to stop by the cockpit and get the pilot to show you his pilot's license, because for years, Jeffrey Wall, who's 59 years old now, was assigned as a captain for Air Canada, and he flew more than 900 flights, thousands of passengers.
How is that possible?
And he didn't have a pilot's license.
This is not a good advertisement for Air Canada.
I don't think so.
Well, it sounds like the way they run their government.
Isn't just like that movie Catch Me If You Can? That guy.
Oh yeah, Catch Me If You Can.
He didn't do the pilot. He didn't do the flying.
He didn't do the flying, right?
That was a crazy book. I read that. That was a true story, Catch Me If You Can. Mm-hmm. I read the book, and then I saw the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
So this guy did it hundreds of times, right?
Yeah. 900 flights.
And he was the pilot.
Captain, yeah.
He didn't have a pilot's license, and he's flying Air. I don't know how.
There's some questions we have, friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. So you're saying, Steve, if you fly Air Canada, just ask in a friendly way when you enter the plane, look up to the cockpit and say, "May I see your pilot's license?"
That's right. That's
How do other pilots not catch this? At least initially.
Right.
I mean, you must have had some flying experience.
Well,
you had to have.
The tip-off would have been, "Excuse me, co-pilot, what's that button do right there?" But I'm sure he flew simulators for.
If that's all you have to do.
The Catch Me If You Can. The Catch Me If You Can guy. The guy's name was Frank, I think.
Right.
Abnegale.
Abnegale, right.
He played the part of he faked being a doctor.
Right.
And a lawyer.
And he did these kind of things for years.
Yeah.
He was
a criminal because he was cashing checks.
He was later hired by the FBI to
catch
scammers and frauds.
Yeah.
Fraudulent actors.
Because of his resume, yeah.
Yeah. You're real, aren't you, Steve? You're really a radio talk show host.
Has anyone ever really checked his resume?
Yeah, have you ever looked for We don't know. We don't know.
You said you used to be in radio.
My reporter's license,
family,
you
but
never know.
That's right.
That's exactly what you would expect a liar to say.
Of course.
All right.
How about your preacher's license, Ray?
All right, yeah, let's show them. Let's see them.
Of course I'm a preacher. That's exactly
That's
what
the
I'm
one
supposed
thing
to
you can fake.
All right. Thank you for listening to this program today, and we hope you keep listening to AFR throughout the day. And we'll see you tomorrow for Trivia Friday.